Hey, I'm Jax, and I'm gonna answer the age-old question. Can I turn caution tape into a corset to make the caution set? So let's start designing. Okay, we're over at the form and we're gonna design what we actually want the corset to look like. And now I'm gonna be a little bit honest here. As I was working, I was like, man, I'm really tired. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why I'm so tired. Turns out I had a fever. Yeah, it turns out I had a fever. So, if you notice anything like weird, like design-wise or choices, that's why. Okay, I'm gonna blame it on me being a little sick. It's a fever dream of a project, this one, all right? So if anything's like, why would he do it like this and not like that? I'm sick. I'm sick. That's why. Okay. But I did finish putting together what I actually want this to look like. We're gonna do 1/2 inch seam allowance because I did a little off-camera test of how I'm actually able to sew this caution tape together. This caution tape is a lot stronger than I was expecting. So let's move on to our next step. All right, so here's our pattern. So now we gotta start prepping our caution tape. So let's do that. Okay, so here is our caution tape. For some of the pieces, this is big enough, but for others, it's not. So what I plan to do is actually basically weave the caution tape into its own fabric, so that way I can have like a nicer overall look. I think it will look better overall. So let's do that. The way I'm gonna do all that is first I'm gonna get a measurement of how wide and how long. I have a note somewhere. Where's my little note? Oh. So I'm making this 33 inches by 37 inches, in case you were wondering. So I'm cutting out a bunch of strips so that way I can interlace them once I head over to the sewing machine. But I'm basically cutting out 13 strips of the 37 and 11 strips of the 33. Originally, what I thought would be smart to do is kind of overlap each individual piece. That was not smart. That's not what I should have done. As I head over to the sewing machine and start sewing all that down, I realized, oh wait, how am I supposed to interlace them when they don't have any clearance, when they're stacked on top of each other? So I had to undo it and then do it again, making sure I don't stack them on top of each other. I thought I was gonna make it stronger. It just made it impossible to do. So don't be a fool. Oh, foolish past Jax. So I interlace them, make like a weave. I'd be sure to sew 2 separate lines, one on the top and one on the bottom, so that way when I actually cut everything out, the holds together, the two stacking pieces of the caution tape stay together no matter where I cut it. Okay? And we got this big giant weave of caution tape. But hey, if you're enjoying this video, be sure hit that like button. You should hit the like button. That would be really cool if you did that. Okay, so here's our big sheet. So now let's cut everything out. All right, so what we're doing here is we're cutting out left and right out of our caution tape. And I actually thought that the caution tape that I was using, since I had a double stack, I didn't actually need to use any interfacing because I thought it was strong enough. And that's the only reason why I didn't cut out interfacing. Don't look at me like that. Okay, I was just tired and I didn't want to add interfacing. Okay, I was tired. I wanted to go to sleep. I didn't want to add any interfacing, so I didn't add any interfacing. I need to sleep sometimes. But we're also gonna cut. That's why I didn't add any interfacing on this project. But we're also gonna cut out our lining out of our black here, and then we're gonna start sewing. All right, so here's everything cut out. So now we got to start sewing everything together. So let's start doing that. Now that we're at the sewing machine, we're gonna sew together our lining. We're not actually gonna sew together our center seam, so we're just basically doing 2 halves of our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on one side and our right so that way later we can finish that center seam to make my life a little bit easier. I just wanted to do this now so that I can get it out of the way and don't have to think about it until later. Easy peasy. Okay, now that the lining's all sewed up, we can start actually sewing the main body of the corset. So let's do that. Okay, so this is how we're gonna sew together the main body of the corset. So we're gonna sew down 1/2 inch. And then we're actually gonna take our sew-in bones, open up our seam here, lay it over the center of the seam, and sew in the bones. Okay, cool. So there it is. All we gotta do is that but for, you know, the rest of it. So let's get to doing that. It is time for our long sewing portion part of the video. So you know what time it is? It's tier list time! Let's go! Every will, of course, we throw the material that we're working on onto the tier list. And the caution tape is an A tier. It's actually really good. The only annoying thing is that it's a little bit slippery. But overall, it's really strong. I actually didn't really need to add some interfacing. A little bit the more interfacing, the more better on a corset. But did I actually need it to? No, it's like super stiff. I was really surprised. Maybe it was because of the double layer, but it actually worked really well staying together. I'm like, this is just working. It's working smoothly. Just a little slippy, it's a little slippy slidey, but that's like that's everything. If you're not paying attention, it's gonna slip, it's gonna slide. But I'm really happy about how this is like staying together, you know? So again, all we're doing is sewing down 1/2 inch. We're gonna grab our Ridgeline here. Normally I'm a hater. I'm like, adding your bone channels and put the bones into channels is gonna be better. This is just another one of those things because I'm tired. Okay, normally I don't just use the sew-in, but I need to sleep. I need to go back to go lay down. Okay, so just this once. Probably I'll do it again. But for today, that we're just using the sew-in bones. After we sew that all together, we move on to our next step. All right, cool. So now that that's all put together, let's add in our lining, and then we'll go from there. Okay, we sew 1/2 inch, then we flip it over, then we add a little top stitch, so that way when I flip our back together, it's gonna be nice and smooth and you won't see the lining. And then we sew down 1/2 inch on the top and then slide another bone into that channel right there that we made. So that way when we add in our grommets, it has a nice little barrier there. And remember what I said about sewing in the center seam? Now we're gonna do that. So we're gonna sew in the center seam, flip it out. We're gonna lay down our lining and our face together and just add a little top stitch. That way when I go in to add our finish, it's nice and easy and makes life better. We do these little steps to make things easier in the future. Even though sometimes I just don't want to do the little steps and just go right on to the next step, but it's always harder that way. Bonus steps. I try to cut out as many bonus steps as I possibly can. Now, let us add in our finish. I wanted to do a bigger finish than I normally do. Normally, like my maximum is like 1/2 inch bias finish. Normally I do like 1/4 inch, but this one we're doing 3/4 inch because I wanted to actually show off the caution tape. Was that smart? On the top it was fine, but then I remembered at the bottom, oh, I did this weird like swoopy thing. So it's kind of annoying, but it works fine. It's odd, we're putting it on. So once we do that 3/4 inch stitch, we fold it over, do a little fold, and then just sew along that top. Again, adding a top stitch, closing everything up, so that way you don't see the inside. And then we move on. Cool, now that that's attached, we can add in our grommets. All right, now let's add in our grommets. It's hammer time, loud hammer. We're using a loud hammer to add in our grommets. Yeah. Cool, now let's lace it up on the form. Before we see the completed caution set on the form, if you made it this far into the video, how about you consider subscribing? are really hard in these, and I really appreciate if you did that. All right, let's see the completed caution set on the form. So there it is. It's on the form. I think it actually turned out pretty good, all things considered. I'm gonna clean this up a little bit and then cut to me talking in front of the green screen to give my final thoughts. So there you have it, a corset made 100% out of caution tape. So the answer to the age-old question, can you turn caution tape into a corset, is yes. And it looks pretty cool. Yeah, I'm super happy with the way this turned out. It's like structurally, it works. It looks good. I think I'm really happy. I'm also super surprised. I thought the caution tape would just kind of rip apart and not like stay together. But maybe that was just the type of caution tape that I have, and other caution tapes will just like fizzle apart. But this one just like sturdy. It like works. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, drop a comment on what weird material I should use next. And I'll caution you later.